Good morning, students. Today we will be learning chapter 1 of introduction, chapter number 1, Introduction to Electronic Communication, of paper number 2, Digital Communication and Networking, of SYBSc Computer Science class. This is our lecture number 8, and in this lecture we are going to study what is error in digital communication and the reasons of error, error detection and error correction methods, and in this error detection and error correction methods, there are two methods out of which today we are going to study Hamming code construction method and Hamming code example solving. So students, error detection and error correction, to start with, what is error in digital communication system? If something is happening wrong, then we call it as error. In case of digital communication, the error is defined as unpredictable change of a bit. So in case of digital communication, only two digits are used, either 0 or 1, and therefore error can be defined as unpredictable change of bit from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. So if somebody is transmitting information from one end to another end, the person transmitting information is known as source and recipient is known as destination. So whatever data is transmitted from the source, the same thing must be received at the destination. But while transmitting the data, due to various reasons, it may happen that some of the bits which are present in our information, they may change from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. If this happens, then error is said to occur in digital communication. In this figure, which is drawn on the screen, you can observe that a stream of digital data is sent, and here you can observe the bit which is shown in red color. It changes from 0 to 1 when it is transmitted from a source to the destination. Source has transmitted this bit as 0, but the destination has received it as a 1, and therefore we can say that the error has occurred in the digital communication. Now students, let us discuss why the error occurs in the communication. Suppose if data is transmitted from one end to another end, and that is 2 over a long distance, what happens? The strength of the signal goes on decreasing with respect to distance. So as strength of the signal goes on decreasing, then the higher voltage may be reduced and it may become a low voltage. The change of logic high to logic 0 will take place. Why it will take place? Because the strength of the signal reduces as it travels from source to the destination over a long distance. This phenomena, as you see on the screen, is called as the attenuation of the signal. Attenuation means decrease in the strength of the signal. So due to attenuation of the signal, the bit may change its value, and therefore error can occur. As students, all of you know, when we transmit from source to destination, we have to pass the information through what is called as communication channel or communication media. So when the signal is transmitted from through a communication media, there are chances that some external disturbances may get added over the signal, and these disturbances, which are called as noise. Noises are the unwanted random signals which may be added through the channel to the information signal, and they may produce unwanted changes in the data stream. Okay, so this is the second reason of the occurrence of the error. So what is the second reason of occurrence of the error is the presence of the noise. So mostly the noise is added into channels. Some types of internal noises also we have studied. So these internal noises may also be added to the signal. In addition, some external noises may be added over a communication media or communication channel. So attenuation can produce the error. Presence of noise will also produce the error. And students, as you can see here, what is the third reason? The third reason of the occurrence of the error is distortion of the signal. Now, do you know what is meaning of the distortion? We are transmitting one or zeros. These one or zeros are nothing but the pulses of the electrical signal. So, which are drawn over the screen. Here you can observe the pulse which gives high voltage E can be interpreted as logic 1, and pulse with low voltage can be interpreted as logic 0. Now, suppose if we are transmitting these type of signals through the channel, what happens? As we are using pulses to indicate digits, and these pulses, they generally contain a very large range of frequencies. That is, the bandwidth of the digital data is very, very large. And suppose if the bandwidth of the transmission media is less as compared to the bandwidth of the signal, then what happens? Then the when signal with greater bandwidth is transmitted through the media with the smaller bandwidth, then change in the shape of the signal will take place. Now here you can observe rectangular pulses, but these rectangular pulses may become like this. They may become sometimes triangular like this, which you can observe on the screen. So this change in the shape of the signal is known as distortion. So this distortion occurs when we transmit the signals of greater bandwidth through the media of smaller bandwidth. Okay, so for example, you can compare this with the door. Okay, so if a very big object like cupboard, if you are going to pass through the door, and if the size of the door is smaller as compared to the size of the cupboard, and whether that cupboard will pass through the door, no, obviously not. But suppose assume that your uh, cupboard is spongy, it is just like sponge. Then if you try to pass it through the door, then what will happen? This cupboard will be squeezed, and when the cupboard is squeezed, it will change its shape. The same thing will happen with the signals. So when you try to transmit a high bandwidth signal through a low bandwidth media, such a change in the shape of the signal will take place, and this change in the shape of the signal is called as distortion of the signal, and this distortion of the signal may lead to error. So this change in the shape may change the bit from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. And therefore, students, as we have pointed out, there are basically three reasons for the errors to occur in digital communication. The first reason is attenuation of the signal, that is reduction in the strength of the signal while traveling over a long distance, presence of noise in the signal. It may be added internally, it may be added through the communication channel or media. And the third reason is distortion of the signal. So all these three parameters are responsible for error to occur in digital type of communication. Now students, as you can understand, errors are happening in the communication. Then what is the remedy for this? The remedy for this is error detection. There must be some means to detect the error. And once you have detected the error, and once you have detected that error has occurred, and once you have detected the position where the error has occurred, it becomes easy for the system to cancel this error. So in digital systems, it is very easy to cancel the error, because just what you have to do is you have to make 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. You have to just change the bits from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0 to correct the errors. So only difficult thing in the digital communication is to identify the errors, and second thing is to identify the position of the error. So once you identify these two things, it will become easy to correct the error. Okay, so error detection. So let us see what is meant by error detection. It is a mechanism to find out if error has occurred or not. It may or may not know the exact location of the error, and sometimes it also may be able to correct the error. So as I told you, in the first place, the mechanism must be capable of detecting error. Okay, so its occurrence at first place is very important. So whether error has occurred, that has to be detected by this error detection mechanism. Okay, it may find the exact location of the error. The second important thing is to find the exact location of the error. And apart from this, once the error has occurred, that is known, and once the exact location of the error is known, it becomes easy for the mechanism to correct the error. So some of the mechanisms are there which can detect error, which can find exact location of the error, and hence they can also correct the error. So students, we are going to see such mechanisms of error detection and error correction. So in our SPPU syllabus, there are two methods of error detection, and those two methods are Hamming code method and CRC method. Okay, so in this lecture, we are going to study what is known as Hamming code. Hamming code is used for error detection and error correction. So before transmitting any data from the source, it must be converted into a code form. It must be converted into Hamming code. So the data that you want to transmit must first be converted to Hamming code at the transmitting end. After converting it into the code, it must be transmitted to the destination. So when destination receives this Hamming code, the destination also has a mechanism to detect and correct the error. So Hamming code is one of the good methods of error detection and error correction. So students, here on the screen, you can observe that in late 1940s, Richard Hamming, he has devised this particular code called as Hamming code, and it is used for detecting error, and it is also used for correcting them. His search for error correcting codes led to Hamming codes. So Hamming code is capable of 1-bit error correcting codes, and extended Hamming codes are also there, and these extended Hamming codes are capable of detecting 2-bit errors and correcting 1-bit error. So Hamming code is a basic code which is uh, discovered by Richard Hamming in 1940s for error detection, and earlier code version was capable of detecting 1-bit error and correcting it. And extended Hamming code, which is improvement in this Hamming code, this extended Hamming code can now detect 2-bit error and can correct only 1-bit errors. So this is what is the capability of the Hamming codes. The Hamming codes, even though those are very old, they are still widely used in computing, telecommunication, and other applications. Now, as you can observe on the screen, the sum of the other fields in which these Hamming codes are applied or used is listed over here. It is used in data compression. Data compression is also very important as far as communication is concerned. So in data compression, Hamming codes are used. They are also used to solve puzzles, and they are also used in block turbo codes. Some other coding systems, they also use Hamming code within themselves. So students, now in this lecture, we will be studying how to construct the Hamming code. So in order to construct the Hamming code, first you should know the concept of the parity. As all of you have studied parity, what is meaning of the parity? Parity is nothing but number of ones present in the data stream. So accordingly, we have two types of parities. One is called as odd parity and another is called as even parity. Now, if I type here stream of the data like this 1010111111. Now, if you count number of ones present in this data, how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So as 7 number of ones are there in this particular stream of data, this data is called as odd parity data. So if number of ones in the data stream are odd, then it is called as odd parity. Now suppose if I type here 1100, this is also a stream of data, and in this particular stream of data, what you can observe, how many number of ones are there? There are 2 number of ones. Here there were 7 number of ones. So here there are 2 number of ones, and therefore this particular data stream is a even parity. So counting the number of ones in the stream of data is called as parity, and depending on whether the number of ones are odd or they are even, we classify parity as odd parity and even parity. So this parity concept is basically used in error detection and error correction. So in such methods, the parity at transmitting end is already pre-decided. So if you decide the odd parity, then the received data must also have odd parity. If there is disparity between the transmission and reception parity, then we can say that error has occurred, and then we are able to detect this error. So you must know this concept of the error. So with this concept of the parity, we will move forward towards the next example of our this Hamming code. Okay, so now, as I told you, in order to construct the Hamming code uses parity. Okay, so to construct the Hamming code, first you have to decide how many number of parity bits to be used in the Hamming code. Okay, and we have to use the equation which is written over the screen. To find the number of parity bits, use the following equation. So what this equation is, 2 raised to p must be greater than or equal to m plus p plus 1. Okay, so this is the equation that we have to use to find out the number of parity bits. Those should be used in a given message or in a given stream of data, where what is a small m? Small m is a number of data bits and small p is a number of parity bits. Okay, so 2 raised to number of parity bits, 2 raised to number of parity bits must be greater than or equal to m, that is number of message bits plus number of parity bits plus 1. Okay, so let us see, after finding out number of parity bits used to construct the Hamming code, we should see how to construct the Hamming code table. On the screen, you can observe the Hamming code table is constructed. Now students, here you can observe in the table, I have written a bit position and encoded data bits are written here and parity bits are written over here as P1, P2 and P3. Now suppose, for example, we have 4-bit message. Okay, so suppose we have 4-bit message or data stream. Okay, so 4-bit message will require 3 number of parity bits. How many number of parity bits? 3 parity bits. Okay, how? That we will see in the next example. But in order to understand this table, consider that the 4-bit message is used to construct the Hamming code, and as we are using 4-bit message, we have to use 3-bit parity, and 4 plus 3, it becomes 7-bit. Your Hamming code will become a 7-bit code. So we are going to form a 7-bit Hamming code. So हेलो, हाँ बोल, हाँ बोल बोल. हाँ, मी ना लेक्चर रेकॉर्ड करतीये बेटा. हा, तुला मी संध्याकाळी घरी गेल्यावर करते. हा, आता बघ मी 6 पर्यंत 6:30 पर्यंत जाईल. ओके, चालेल. हो. हा. So sorry for that interruption, students. So now let us understand how this Hamming code table has to be constructed. Okay, so as the code is 7-bit Hamming code, so bit positions we can write here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, so this 7 is your LSB. Okay, and this 1 is your MSB. So this is your LSB and this is your MSB. Okay, so let us write the binary equivalent of each digit position. The binary equivalent of digit position 1 is 001. That of 2 is 010. That of 3 is 011. That of 4 is 100. That of 5 is 101. That of 6 is 110. And that of 7 is 111. So like this, you have to write the binary equivalent of the bit positions. After that, you have to write the you have to fix the parity bit locations and you have to fix the message bit locations. So generally, parity bit locations are fixed as 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1 and 2 to the power 2, and next suppose if it is there it will be 2 to the power 3, but it is not present in this particular example. So 2 to the power 0 which is equal to 1, that means bit position number 1 is parity number 1. Okay, now here bit position 2 means 2 to the power of 1, okay, which is equal to 2. So second parity bit position has to be fixed to bit number 2. Now as 2 raised to 2 is 4, so bit number 4 is a position of the third parity bit. Now the remaining bits must be written as message bits. So some message is given to you which is a 4-bit message, and this 4-bit message you have to write in remaining digit positions which are shown with the yellow color. And here MSB of the message has to be written to the digit number or bit number or bit position 3, and LSB has to be written to bit position 7. So here I will be writing D1, D2, D3 and D4. Now we have to keep this P1, P2, P3 columns and rows vacant. Okay, so here now I will tell you how to check the parities. Now in order to check the parity P1 or in order to assign the parity bit P1, we have to check parity for bit number 1, bit number 3, bit number 5 and bit number 7. So how we found it out? We found it out by this binary equivalent. You have to see the binary numbers where the LSB position is 1. So LSB position is 1 for bit position 1. It is also 1 for bit position 3. It is also 1 for bit position 5. And it is also 1 for bit position 7. So in order to assign value to parity bit number 1, we have to check the locations 1, 3, 5 and 7. Similarly, in order to assign value to parity bit 2, we have to check the bit position number 2 and we have to see for which digits this bit position number 2 is 1. So for digit number 1, this position is not 1. But for bit number 2, this position is 1. You can observe here. So you have to consider the bit position 2 for P2. Now, you have to also consider bit position 3 because there is 1 there. You should not consider bit position 4 because in second position there is no 1. In fifth position also for second bit there is no 1. But if you see for bit position 6, the second bit is 1. So you have to consider this for assigning value to P2. Similarly, you have to consider the bit number 7 for assigning value to the bit. Similarly, for bit number 3, you have to see the MSB, and MSB should be 1. So if you can see bit number 4, bit number 5, bit number 6 and bit number 7, all of them have MSB equal to 1. So in order to assign value to parity bit 3, we have to check the positions 4, 5, 6 and 7. So this is the way in which we can use these table in order to assign value to the parity bits.